Every person in the world has regrets, whether they're big, small, maybe you messed up one time, or maybe you regret the type of person you were for a while. No matter who you are, you've definitely done things that if you could go back and change, you would change them. Me personally, I have a ton of regrets, but I try not to dwell on them too much. And I'm going to explain to you why it's actually a good thing that you have regrets. If you have the emotional ability to regret something, it means you care, whether that's about yourself or others. Maybe you did something bad to someone, and looking back, you really wish you hadn't done it. Or maybe you did something that wasn't too good for yourself, and it kind of set you back in the long run. Well, if you have the ability to regret it, then you know what's right for yourself. You know that you made a bad choice. It helps you understand what's important, what you value, whether that's your own well being or the well being of others. Maybe you regret some type of mistake you've made. And I think at this point, we all know that mistakes are the best way to learn. I wouldn't call any type of mistake a failure, because when you fail, you learn what not to do next time. And by knowing what not to do, it makes it a whole lot easier for you to make the right decision. I think we can all look back on ourselves, back to any point, no matter how old you are. We can all look back and cringe at ourselves. I think that's kind of a universal thing for everyone. And I read somewhere a long time ago that if you look back at yourself and you don't cringe, then you're doing something wrong. Because when you look back and cringe, you're kind of looking at the old version of you. And you weren't cringing at yourself at the time, probably, but now that, you've made it a little further, you've probably learned a lot more in life or whatever it is you're doing. You can acknowledge that, okay, yeah, I'm different now. I've grown from that part of my life. As painful as it can be to look back and cringe at yourself, no matter the situation. Overall, I mean, it is a good thing, because that just means you came further along. And, you're not that version of yourself that you used to be. If you go around and say, I have no regrets, I don't regret anything, I think that's kind of a lack of responsibility on your part, because having regrets is just owning up to mistakes that you've made, and it's not a bad thing to have them. The strongest people in the world have them. Everybody does. Of course they do. And, owning up to it and accepting it, it can take courage, but you've just got to be honest with yourself. I feel like the real make or break is kind of how you handle your regrets. Do you just kind of sit there and accept it and, do nothing about it and just live with the thought of your regrets forever? That's what you don't want to do, right? Everything's a learning experience. Acknowledge whatever happened and make different choices, and that way you have a different outcome. Me personally, I feel like I regret the way maybe I've treated people in the past. I don't think I was ever this terrible person going around ruining people's lives, but I've definitely done things that if I could go back, I would do differently. And because of that, I feel like it's made me who I am today. I feel like I'm a very nice person. I show pretty much everybody respect, unless given a reason not to. And maybe I wouldn't have that outlook if I hadn't made mistakes or I haven't done people wrong in the past. A pretty common regret would definitely be something related to relationships. Whether you did your partner wrong or you stayed with them when you really shouldn't have, or maybe things didn't work out and you want to go back and you wish you could change everything you did. But I think that's one of the best regrets to have, no matter what side of that coin you're on. Because that's how you learn, that's how you grow, that's how you make sure your next relationship is even better and you don't make the same mistakes that you made in the past. You learn how to treat your partner, you learn what to do and what not to do. Another pretty common regret that I've seen is related to people and their health. A lot of people, unfortunately nowadays, get to a very unhealthy point in their life. And of course, they wish they could go back and eat healthier, exercise, work on themselves. I really can't relate to that one too much. I guess you could say, like, I regret not working out sooner. But, I never really got to a point where I had to make this substantial change because of, health mistakes I made. I've been pretty good up to this point, but it's obvious that when people get to a certain point with their health that's in their control, that is. I'm not talking about having a sickness or a disease. But when people are at a very unhealthy point in their lives, they regret it. 100% of the time. They always do. And If, let's say, in the past 2 years you've gotten very overweight, you've been eating terrible diet, you definitely regret it. And, maybe you wish you started 2 years ago, you regret not taking control 2 years ago. But now, knowing that, start today. There's no better time to start than today. I think there's a quote that says, the best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago. The second best time is today. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Maybe the quote doesn't even involve a tree, but it's something along those lines, and I think it's a powerful quote. Taking what you know, what you've learned in life, use that information to lessen your regrets that you'll have in the future. If you're living an unhealthy life, maybe you're not satisfied with your body, with your diet, start right now. Don't start tomorrow, just start right now. Because if you already regret it, you're only going to regret it even more. Maybe if you're in a relationship that you know you shouldn't be in, leave right now. I know sometimes that's complicated. If you know what I mean, I can't offer you advice on, things that get violent. But, if it's not like that and you're with someone that you know you shouldn't be with, wrap it up, sooner than later, because I've seen it. I've seen people be with someone and for months or maybe even years, they say, I don't want this. I want to break up. But I've been with her, or I've been with him for so long. What am I just going to put all that behind me? And then eventually, a few months or a few years later, they break up anyway. I'm not saying to immediately break up with your partner right now. If you sometimes have doubts, that's only natural. But if you know that this isn't who you want to be with, they're not your person, and you've been dwelling on it for a while, do it now. Save yourself more time than you've already wasted. But overall, look back on the regrets that you have as a learning experience, not something you have to look back on and be sad about and carry with you your whole life, but use them as guidelines to make yourself better. But yeah, that is what I think about having regrets. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.